The house always felt too big, even before the break-in. Dad made a killing in tech, so we ended up in this McMansion on the edge of town. Mom hated it, said it was too isolated. I didn't mind at first. Zoe and I had plenty of room to do our thing. Then came the night everything shifted. I remember Mom screaming. A muffled, desperate sound that cut through the silence like a knife. Dad shouting, then more silence. I crept out of my room, heart hammering against my ribs. The hallway was dark, shadows stretching and twisting familiar shapes into monstrous figures. Downstairs, the living room was a mess. Cushions thrown, a lamp shattered, the expensive Persian rug twisted at an odd angle. But it was the closet that drew my eye. The door was slightly ajar, a sliver of blackness beckoning. Dad was kneeling beside Mom, who was sobbing quietly. He looked up, his face pale and drawn. "We've been robbed," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Call the police." The cops came, dusted for prints, asked questions. They said it was probably some random thief, in and out. But I couldn't shake the feeling that it was something more. Something personal. After that, things changed. Mom became a shut-in, jumping at every creak and shadow. Dad installed a state-of-the-art security system, cameras everywhere. But it didn't help. The fear had already seeped into the walls. I started seeing things. Flickers of movement in the periphery, whispers when I was alone. The feeling of being watched, constantly. The closet became a focal point of my unease. I couldn't pass it without a shiver running down my spine. One night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, the feeling of dread building in my chest. I got up, went downstairs. The house was silent, the only light coming from the security system panel. I found myself drawn to the living room, to the closet. The door was open a crack, just like before. I reached out, my hand trembling, and pushed it open wider. The closet was empty, just coats and shoes. But then I saw it. A glint of metal, hidden beneath a pile of scarves. I reached in and pulled it out. A mask. The kind a burglar might wear. I turned it over in my hands, a knot forming in my stomach. It looked familiar. Too familiar. Then I saw the initials scrawled on the inside, barely visible in the dim light, JB. Jacob. Our family's best friend. The guy who came over for dinner every Sunday. The one who always seemed a little too interested in Dad's business. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. It wasn't a random robbery. It was a betrayal. And the fear that followed was colder, deeper, than anything I had ever experienced. It wasn't just about stolen things. It was about the darkness that can hide behind a friendly face. The darkness that had now taken root in our home.